Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to a special Advance UK live stream where this evening I'm absolutely delighted to welcome the leader of Advance UK himself. That is, of course, the one and only Ben Habib. In addition, we have Advance UK representatives in Tony Mack, Sarah White, and of course myself, Paul Thorpe, tonight. We're going to be talking about where Advance is right now, what's happening in the near future, and how you can get involved. And of course, we'll probably touch up upon some of the week's burning topics. In addition, I'll be throwing some of your comments into the mix as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, and please take part. So first of all, good evening, Ben. Good evening, Sarah. Good evening, Tony. I hope you're all well.
Good evening, Andrew.
What a handsome crew we've got in front of us tonight. Eh? For a moment, I thought I'd tuned into Mr. Universe instead of a live stream.
Are you looking in the mirror, Paul?
Sarah, lovely to see you all, guys. I won't ask Sarah what she's been up to because I know, but I'll start with you, Ben. What have you been up to, Ben? Obviously very, very busy, but give us a quick up to date of what you've been doing and where you've been.
Well, today I launched Advance UK's own channel on YouTube, a new channel which we call Fearless, and I had David Starkey, who kindly agreed to come on as my first guest, and we're going to be doing. It hasn't been released yet, but it will be released in the next few days, and we're going to do a series of those because, as some people might have noticed, even news channels that are meant to be on our side, as it were, have cancelled us as soon as we launched Advance UK. So, to get to the people where, we've obviously had brilliant support from people like you, Paul, thank you. But, we thought we needed our own channel to get out there. And I'll be doing a series of those kinds of interviews coming up over the next few weeks, including interviewing Sarah and Tony and yourself, Paul, and getting our message out. And so that was very exciting. And I spoke to the other exciting thing that I've been up to is progressing with the establishing of our regional network, because we've got just shy of 38,000 members now. But we've got to give that some framework through which we can start campaigning. Again, campaigning for us on the ground is much more important than campaigning perhaps for other parties that haven't been shunned by mainstream media. So we want to get our ground game going, and I've been working on that. So I've had a busy week. Some of us, I think, have been in eastern climes having more fun than perhaps I have. But flying the Union flag, no doubt, I hope.
Definitely.
Yes, indeed we have. Both Sarah and I have been out in Poland. Most of the viewers watching will already know, but we'll get on to that a little bit later on because we've got one or two bits and pieces to talk about where that's concerned. Tony, you've told me just before we went live that you've just got home from work. So first question I want to ask you, is that how you dress to go to work, or are you wearing shorts there?
I'm doing the old ITN newsreader trick.
That's it, mate. Yeah.
I've got a pair of shorts and I do it. No, this is how I go to work. Yes, it is.
So how's business down in Clacton, Tony? What's going on?
Business down in Clacton is okay. We're working on the ground. We're getting out lots of leaflets. I'm meeting the people and some of those people as well involved.
Very good
every
people,
Friday evening. Yeah, we meet every Friday evening outside the town hall with the pink ladies, and we make ourselves known and what we're standing there for and what we're standing up for. I was looking at a couple of venues over the weekend to start get more organised in the future, so as we can bring people together and strategise and coordinate, etc. So yeah, we're doing in the background, and my wife is doing lots of stuff as well, which is really good. She's talking to a lot of people, passing out leaflets, and so it's growing, it's spreading, and we're doing all we can.
How's morale down there, Tony? Because obviously, go on. Sorry, I
mean, you have to remember, in the summer there was a lot more people outside the town hall, unifying. But as the winter's progressed, it's dropped off a little bit. But I expect it to pick up again. and we will, you know, we will keep going, and we will make our point known, and we will keep growing. I'm sure we will keep growing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Sarah, obviously,
Yes.
I know where you've been. How did you find Poland?
I loved it. It's everything that England should be. And
Yeah.
I'd urge England to be like Poland. We've got a lot to learn. We all know, we could all make it like Poland. We could we know what we want. We know what's right. Unfortunately, we're up against the woke mind virus and all of the fools that aren't taking their meds. So but yeah, Poland was great. Poland was great. The people are so friendly. It was the cleanest place.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
clean, calm. There was no unruly people. There was no drunk people fooling about, apart from me, maybe. But no, it was really, really nice, and I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I mean, the love for the British nation and the British people, I think, was tangible. You know, certainly from the people that I spoke to, they are very aware, the Poles, of, you know, our history together, what we've done for them and what they've done for us as well. You know, very quick to point out, Ben, that, you know, at the end of the war, there were 20,000 Polish Poles serving in either the Royal Air Force or the Royal Navy, the Army, etc. 20,000 of them. That's a big sacrifice.
It's huge. We wouldn't have won the Battle of Britain if it hadn't been
absolutely.
for Polish pilots, who I think were so gung-ho. They'd get in a Spitfire with just 2 or 3 hours of having had training and get up there and just take it straight to the Germans. And I've heard all sorts of stories about how they were prepared to get so close to enemy planes in order to be certain that they could shoot them down, that they endangered their own lives in case they were successful.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the kind of mentality that, you know, saved the United Kingdom, saved Western civilization. And that it's that mentality. Actually, I think the Poles have still got it, which is what Sarah was referencing.
Yeah.
And we've lost it because we've had so many incessant attacks on our nation state, our belief in our country. It's vilified if you believe in your country. So how, you know, we're bound not to maintain that commitment that they still have. And they fought so hard. They have had to fight repeatedly so hard to maintain their independence. They're great people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you mentioned them in the war. Sorry, Paul, because I know you love to war. But we should remember as well that they was the ones that decoded the Enigma machine. You know, which without them, that was part of how we won the war as well. So, not many people know that. But they have lived through hardship, like Ben said, and that's the problem with us in the UK. It's only our very old veterans now that would remember hardship. We've had it too easy, so people don't feel that they need to fight to stand up for anything because they don't feel that they're losing anything, and unfortunately, we are.
Yeah. I think what hit me more than anything was their general unity. I think I saw half a dozen counter protesters. Literally a group of 6 people out of, I don't know, hundreds of thousands. And it was very heartwarming, but at the same time, I have to be honest and say, made me feel quite sad. And I got home to Spain yesterday, went straight to an event in Benidorm. It's the start of a religious festival this week. And again, thousands upon thousands of people in the streets. And the event last night was all for the children. And I could have cried. The way these children are treated, the way they're looked after. The children are treasured here. Treasured. Just like they should be at home. I know as individual parents, of course, we all treasure our children. But as a nation, I feel that we've forgotten how to treasure our beloved children, and they are our future. And of all the things that we talk about, gang, you know, it's the kids that really get to me, and I'm so upset for the children's futures at home has been stolen from them. Their heritage and their future has been stolen from them by this and plenty of previous governments before. But I won't get too far into that rant. Before we get into the more detailed discussions, I want to show you a little video tonight. Now, gang, I know I've only been in Benidorm for about 7 months, and I can promise you I haven't been stirring things up, but I want to play you a little video that came out of Benidorm just 4 hours ago from the British community. I think you're going to like this. Have a close listen to what they're saying, and more importantly, have a look at their dress and the banners. Watch this. Benidorm around 4 p.m. this afternoon. So that's Benidorm at 4 o'clock this afternoon. I don't know if you saw the flags, stop the boats, etc. You've got the Hamas guys dressed up there in the rubber dinghies coming to a town near you. Listen, the Brits are on board in Benidorm. I think we're going to have to open up a branch of Advance here in Benidorm.
I think you have been stirring up trouble.
Please, can I?
Only if I can be the chairman. But no, seriously, I mean, look, honestly, the Brits over here in Spain very much on board with what we're doing, and great people. Ben, before we get into the business of Advance, and I want to leave that for a little while because the crowd is building up. We're up to 1,600 people alone now on this channel. I don't know where else it's being viewed, but I want to just ask you a couple of things. First of all, the BBC and Donald Trump. Can you give us your view on that?
So I think it's been a remarkable revelation over the last few days. It's not remarkable in the sense that we're hearing things about which we always knew, but that we've actually now got independent evidence that everything we've suspected since, in my mind, since at least 2016, when they came out against our desire to leave the EU, or what turned out to be our desire to leave the EU, and have attacked our desire to be an independent country ever since, and have made the case for Hamas, taken Hamas figures, put them through the television screens as if they're absolute gospel. The way that they have completely accepted this idea that the planet is about to burn up unless we all economically destroy ourselves. We've known that, but now here you have an independent journalist who sat on the regulatory body of the BBC, its own internal regulatory body, until last June, writing a letter to the board of the BBC saying, look, you doctored the speech that Trump gave on the 6th of January. He did not incite violence. You put together a series of things he said to make it look like he did. And he, cited all these things that I've just done about Hamas, etc. And that was that was the first time those of us who've known about the BBC for ages have had this independently verified to the extent required to actually bring the house of the BBC crashing down. And we had Tim Davie and the head of BBC News resigning on the same day, which is absolutely seismic. And the BBC now, deservedly, in my view, is in the crosshairs of public opinion, and it should be right across the board, and obviously in the crosshairs of Donald Trump. Now, I don't know what kind of legal action Donald Trump might bring, but if he were to, I think bringing an action in the UK against the BBC won't yield much result, because even if he wins, he'll get a few £100,000 order against the BBC, which won't be a lot, because that's all that we award in this country for defamation. But if he were able to somehow justify that the case should be brought in the US, and he can bring, punitive damages against the BBC, then you're talking about maybe $1 billion in damages.
Well, that's the figure he's mentioned, isn't it?
That's the figure he's mentioned. Yeah. And a lot of people poo-poo it and say, well, he won't be able to succeed. Well, he's succeeded in a lot of areas where people have said he hasn't, he wouldn't. And so I think this has been a watershed in a bad way for the BBC. And I don't think they're going to be able to easily recover their footing from here. They're going to either have to dramatically reinvent themselves or face extinction.
Tony, where would you like to see that go? Would you like to see the BBC extinct, or would you like to see them reinvent themselves?
I would personally like to see the BBC completely defunded. I think Trump is right. He said he has a moral duty to bring an action against the BBC, and I think he does. Because the BBC, notoriously over the last 10, 15, even 20 years, has become more progressively hijacked by left-wing ideology. It's pumping out stuff it's completely manufactured in their warped view of what Britain should be. You can't rely on it. And what's gone under the radar a little bit is the appointment as the replacement for the chap who resigned in the news is actually part of the coup who put together the piece itself, who put together the presentation where they
remarkable. Yeah.
He's been promoted into that job now, and that's gone under the radar. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. It's nepotism. It's absolute rubbish. And I think the BBC literally needs drastic attention, and start with defunding it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because, it's supposed to be a public broadcasting service. It's a public damaging service as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I mean, Sarah, look, I was brought up with the BBC. I mean, I'm a child of the 1960s. Ben and I are a very similar age. I think I'm a little bit older than Ben, but there you go. It is what it is. But I mean, I kind of don't want to see the BBC gone. I'd like to see them reinvented and do the goddamn job properly, like it did many, many years ago. The BBC are the official state broadcaster of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. They should represent the people and they should offer us something instead of making the nation scared, because that's what they've done. In layman's terms, they've stitched us up the last 10 or 12 years. And they need to pay for it. They should be made, as Tony says, I believe they should be able to fund themselves and earn their keep, just like every other TV station that survives on advertising, etc. What do you think, Sarah? You got mute. Sarah can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Anyone who protected Jimmy Savile, they need to be defunded. At the end of the day, this isn't the last 10 or 12 years. This has gone on for a long time, and they are so corrupt, and it runs the whole way through the BBC. Let's, instead of reinventing them, let's just have a new news channel, new complete channel that comes up with decent, actual, factual content, because they're just spreading pure misinformation. They incite violence, because let's face it, any violence that was caused through doctoring that speech was caused by the BBC.
Yeah.
They need to be held accountable. And instead of people getting dropped down from their jobs, why don't they lose their pensions? Why aren't they held accountable for anything? Because that's misconduct and what they've done.
Yeah, I agree. Sammy is a new member. Thank you very much. Party Pants says, please inform Ben there is an issue with the shop website. It's not recognising email addresses. Well, address that one with the team, mate. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. A special message from Right Not Left Reggie. If none of you probably won't know Reggie, Ben, but he's an amazing young man. He's 15 years old. He's doing some amazing work online. And he says,
Reggie Ray. I think I do know Reggie. Yeah.
Right Not Left Reg. You do. I told you about him.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, he just says, hi, Ben. Just wanted to say, keep up the amazing work you are doing. Fantastic. And we'll have to get you on my podcast. Thanks, Paul, Sarah, and Tony too. Thank you, mate. All the best to you. And I hope you like the videos from Poland. Andrew says, see you in Manchester, 6th of December, joined from the Conservatives. What a smart move. Yeah. What's a smart move? Ben, where are we right now with Advance? What's the latest? Bring us right up to date if you can.
So I think we're not a million miles away from getting our Electoral Commission registration as a party in Great Britain. We settled the documents with the Electoral Commission, and I hope now that should come through, very shortly. that then gives us the ability to take on. We've got a number of councillors who are either independent or have resigned from Reform or the Conservatives and just waiting to join Advance. And I think our being registered, I think, will allow people to come in with great confidence, knowing that they can actually stand for their seats again. So I think once we get registered, you'll see quite a dramatic change in activity at the front end of Advance. You know, we've been building the back end, getting members, getting our constitution sorted, etc. But I think you'll see quite a dramatic change at the front end. We're upping our game on the ground campaign. I think one of the reasons the portal wasn't working, and we've had this issue a few times, is it just gets overloaded with people trying to get leaflets. I think we sold hundreds of thousands of leaflets on the portal.
Amazing.
And that's going there. That's people just coming on and doing it themselves, which is how we need to grow. We need people to take the initiative and get on with it. And we're trying to give now, we're beginning to give structure to our ground campaign by setting up our regional network. So regional directors have now been, or people have been invited to apply to be regional directors. And an email went out to our membership inviting people to do that with a cutoff date of the 21st of November. So if you're a member, people listening, if you're a member of Advance and you want to be a regional director or work in our regional network, please make it known through that process. And once we've got that, then we can start activating people locally with more coherency, because so far it's been a kind of national game without any real focus. But we'll be able to bring focus to bear. And I've literally this afternoon, I launched, as I mentioned, our new channel, Fearless, which is for Advance UK. So we'll have a channel through which we can get our message directly out. And I know we've been doing it through you, Paul, and others who've been, very supportive of us, for which many, many thanks. But we've got to start taking that fight on ourselves. We're doing a number of events across the country. So I'm off to Wales on the 29th of November. And there are tickets available for that. So people should sign up if they're in the Welsh area, come to our Welsh event. It's the launch of our party there. I'm off to Manchester. I think someone texted a second ago saying that they were coming to Manchester on the 6th of December. And please sign up for that too. And there are other events now planned for next year. And I know Sarah's coming to an event with me. I think it's in May, isn't it, Sarah, in Bournemouth?
I think it is in Bournemouth. Yeah, I'm not remember the actual date.
It's either March or May. It starts with an M. But, so we're getting booked up, and we are here. We're parking our tanks, the proverbial tanks, just before I get cancelled for saying something remotely violent, proverbial tanks on the political British landscape, and we are not going to go away. So I'm very excited. I think we're at a sort of a tipping point where we can really begin our fight.
I mean, I'm just looking at the chat coming through, guys. I don't know how much of it you can see, but so much support for yourself and the party, and people saying, "Oh, come to Yorkshire, come to Wiltshire, come to Wales, come to Northern." I mean, Ben, you're gonna have to chop yourself up in bits and send parts all over the country because people want.
One of the things, Paul, that I think we've got to do is, I mean, I will go to as many places as I possibly can. But we must get other people out there. We've got great people like Tony, Sarah, other members of the college, and we've got to get, if you don't mind me saying so, Tony and Sarah, you've got to be the heart and light and the torch carriers of the party, not just me. And that's one thing that's, I think, critical. That Advance needs to distinguish itself from other political parties, where it's not just the leader. Yes, I'm there, and I'll do as much as I possibly can. But we need great people like Tony and Sarah to, take the party forward. Particularly Sarah, if you don't mind me saying so, Tony, because you and I are of a particular age. But we need young people, dynamic people, committed people like Sarah who are brave. She's the Boudica of England, the new Boudica of England, to carry the torch forward, carry her sabre forward. Again, a proverbial saber.
Yeah. Love that.
You're right. That is really important, because if I was to stand in an area, I have to be seen in that area. People want to know me, and they want me to be there locally, going around, meeting people, actually learning what the problems are in that area, because every single area has completely different issues, and we would be the best equipped to know that particular area wherever we're assigned to. So it's like with Tony's you've been here before, Tony, haven't you? You know,
Yes.
yeah. So
See, the thing is, I think in the initial stages, what's happening, Paul, is everybody wants to see Ben, and that's fine because, you know, Ben is the figurehead. So in the initial stages, everybody wants to see Ben. But as it grows, and Ben knows this, as it grows, you know, and people become more prominent, the load will be taken off of Ben, I'm sure. Yeah, because we all know, I mean, Ben's worked incredibly hard, you know, over the last few months. I don't know how he's done it, to be perfectly honest with you, because I know that he's been here, there, and everywhere, and he's been working hard every single day, and that's dedication for you. So, you know, I can only try and follow in his footsteps. So, you know, he's a fantastic example of someone who's committed to something and doing it for the right reasons. But you know, as Sarah quite said, you know, what you need to be, in my opinion, is you need to be accessible, you need to be accountable, and you need to be approachable. Those are the three things that you need to be in your area. And that's what I aim to be in Clacton, because it has no representation. It really doesn't, Paul. You know, we have an MP in absentia. And the reason that I got into politics in the first place was because the previous MP, although he was a lovely chap, he wasn't a very good MP. He wasn't accountable, he wasn't available, he wasn't visible, you know, and people couldn't go to him. And now we have an MP who doesn't even have surgeries.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have surgeries. He's not, you know, I went to the Remembrance Parade in Clacton, which I always go to, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a really wonderful thing. And there must have been a couple of thousand people there. And they had the Cubs and the Beavers and the Air Cadets and the Sea Cadets and everything else. But one thing that there were two things I noticed actually. It's traditional for the sitting MP to be at the Clacton Memorial Service. That is the main service in the area. Okay. Last year there was the absence of the MP, and this year there was the absence of the MP. Now I don't care what they say on GB News and everything else. You know, if you can't get out there with your people, with the people you're supposed to represent, then, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you're not doing the job you were elected to do. So I'm not going to mention no names. I'm not going to talk any bias, but, you know, at the end of the day, there is so many problems, and all of these local areas, Sarah will tell you the same, you know, like the barber shops and the vape shops selling vape to kids and all the cash stuff, you know, the people in tents in the gardens, in the beautiful gardens, people in tents and defecating in the bushes and stuff. Where is our bloody MP? You know, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And as time goes on, we will become more visible and we will be able to take some of the load off of Ben. But, you know, I don't believe me also. I mean, Sarah speaks very eloquently. I've listened to Sarah quite a lot, and I'll just badger on like an old duffer, you know what I mean? But
I don't buy that, Tony. You're a very, very convincing speaker.
Right, okay, that's very, very kind of you to say.
Yeah.
But it's an old psychological trick. Be a bit self-deprecating, and then someone else will come up and big you up. See, massage your way.
It's a trick that worked.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing is, we all are on the same page, and I believe most people. I mean, the tide has really turned over the last 14 months, and I was surprised when me and Ben had a chat a few months ago, and some of your friends, Paul, you know personally, and really the tide is really turning. People are absolutely, and I knew this would happen. You know, I didn't hope it would happen. I knew it would happen. I suspected it would happen, and you know, I'm pretty sad it's happened. But you know what? At the end of the day, the people need representation, and that's what we aim to do.
Ben, the Electoral Commission, how big a task is that, by the way?
So, I mean, I'm pleased to say it hasn't been a massive task. We spent a lot of time considering before we even soft launched the party on the 30th of June, a lot of thinking had gone in since March on the constitution and how the party should be structured to make sure that it doesn't lose its way, like Reform has lost its way and like the Conservative Party has lost its way. How can we learn from the past? How can we make sure we've got a constitution that works for the country? And so by the time we soft launched the party on the 30th of June, we'd had a lot of thinking go into the constitution. We'd looked at the Electoral Commission rules. We'd had legal advice, genuine, proper, good legal advice. And so we when we applied, the draft constitution was already in good shape. They
Yeah.
came back and they made a number of some valid, some, in my view, not so necessary suggestions. But wherever we could accommodate them, we accommodated them, because why wouldn't you? Just so that you can expedite the process.
Yeah.
And the essence of what we're seeking to achieve hasn't been in any way diluted by what they've done. And I think it was last week when they came back and said, right, we're happy now with your draft constitution, and it should take, a short period of time now for the powers that be to determine it. So there's going to be no further exchanges between us and the Electoral Commission, and we now just wait to see what happens. And I'd be absolutely, if they decline us, all hell will break loose, because I can't see any reason why they should do so.
Yeah, interesting question from Nick here, Ben. I hope you don't mind answering this one. He says, well, basically, I mean, he says everyone knows that we'd like to see Rupert Lowe join Advance, but would you consider reaching out to Liz Truss? Is Liz someone that you're fond of?
So Liz is an extraordinary person. Liz voted Remain. She then turned to, and supported leaving the EU. She was one of the few Conservative Party cabinet ministers who actually made the case for Northern Ireland. She put together the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill, which would have done quite a large part of the work required to take Northern Ireland back into the UK, which Boris Johnson had basically, he threw it away. It didn't work perfectly, but she did that. And then she did something, I think, quite remarkable. When she got the leadership of the Conservative Party and became Prime Minister, she tried, for the first time since, I think, Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister, she tried to do conservative things. And so infected was her party and the institutions around her that they kneecapped her. That's what happened to Liz Truss.
Yeah. She was stitched royally. Yeah.
She was absolutely stitched up. And people can say, oh, well, the bond markets went against her. When the hell did anyone give a damn about the markets when it came to judging political direction? The bond markets now are much worse for the UK than they were under Liz Truss. The cost of borrowing for the government is much higher now than it was at the worst point of Liz Truss's, so-called mini budget. And everyone says she broke the economy. She didn't get anywhere near even influencing the economy, because they kneecapped her and prevented her policies from coming in. So she's someone who has stood her ground. And it doesn't surprise me that she hasn't joined Reform, that there are issues between her and Reform, because Reform want to be part of the establishment, and the establishment turned on Liz Truss. So Reform is going to find it problematic taking Liz Truss into their fold. I've met Liz Truss a couple of times. If she's minded to join Advance, then of course she would be very welcome, I think, given the fortitude with which she stood her position. Even though she lost, she stood her position. And that's the kind of people we want in Advance. People who are brave. Yeah.
And she's a patriot as well. Ben, I don't want to take you too far into policy, because I know that, right now we're busy with policies being written up. But Daniel asks, need help for our children with autism and a massive review of the EHCPs. The process is so bad at the moment. Is that something you can sort of comment on?
I'm afraid that is probably beyond my pay grade. It's a very specific area of policy making. We do have some great medics in the college, and they will be picking up the mantle for the creation of our health policies. And I'd have to defer to them.
That's
on
why
that,
they're there, Ben.
issue.
And that is exactly why they're there. This is what I like. This is what I love so much about the way you've gone about this. I mean, one or two people have said to me, oh, couldn't things move on a little bit faster? And what I've said to them, guys, is that, look, what we're building here is a magnificent skyscraper, and the foundations, the roots have to be correct. They have to be firm. They have to be solid, because we all know what happens to skyscrapers with bad foundations, and we don't want that to happen. And what I love about Advance is the fact that you've brought in people in, Ben, who are experts in their field. And what a great answer. You just said it's above your pay grade, but you'll consult the right people. You can't ask for a better answer than that. I'd much rather have that than you sit there for 5 minutes talking a load of nonsense that you have no intentions of doing anything about.
Which we've seen so many politicians do.
Times. That's all they do.
Just talking flannel, trying to pretend as if they've answered the question when they haven't actually got the answer. But, the direction of travel, I want Sarah and Tony to have an opportunity to speak, but the direction of travel of Advance, I think, should be known to everyone. We stand for nation state, our Christian constitution, freedom of speech, the end of the indoctrination of our children, democracy, getting rid of the international order, getting rid of the bureaucrats who have infected our democracy, and equality under the law. This is our political philosophy. And around that, we will hang everything else. And so we will restore our country. We will, if we get into government, we will be able to do what you and Sarah would wish, which is for us to rediscover what it means to be British in the way that the Poles still remember it. That would be our success. Sorry, Tony.
When we get into government, Ben.
When we get into government.
Tony, thank you very much. Unity right across the board wins the day. George Williams has got a question here. Thank you, George. Hi, guys. Ben, as a prominent figure in politics and business, what strategies do you believe are essential for fostering economic growth and stability in the UK and locally post-Brexit?
So economic growth can only come when we have a settled country. One of the big mistakes I think the Conservative Party and Reform are making is making arguments for the economy before they've actually addressed the constitutional and cultural issues facing this country. We will not have a successful economy if we have sacrificed the culture on which we were so successful as an economic power in the past. That has to come first. And they all dismiss what they call the culture wars, actually at great cost to the future and prosperity of this country. Because the culture wars, unless we have a settled culture, unless we can find our way back to what it means to being British, find our way back to our inherent ability to be nimble traders. What do we do so well? The empire didn't come about because we decided we were going to go abroad, fight people, subjugate them. It came about because we're damn good traders. We think out of the box and we're entrepreneurs by nature. And that comes out of a deep cultural framework. The Europeans can't do it because they need to be told what they can and can't do. They march to the tune of their laws. We march to the tune of independence. That's the British nature. And we've got to find our way back to that. And there are many, many things that we need to do to get there. Once we've got there, and on the way to getting there, at the same time, we need to do the things that eject the European way of thinking out of our system. So we've got to get rid of all these European regulations which have infected us, get rid of net zero, re-establish our borders, slash migration dramatically so that British wages can rise. And I'm afraid we need some tough medicine for people. There are 4 million people in this country who are surviving on benefits and have no obligation to even look for a job. 4 million people. That's about 12% of the workforce, effectively not even working and not being obliged to look for work. That cannot be right. We need some tough love. So it's a whole holistic kind of coherent approach we're going to have, but at the heart of which is our constitution and our culture. We've got to get that right before we can be prosperous again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Thank you. I'm sure Georgia will be grateful for your reply there. Sarah and Tony, not such a great week for the people of my mind's gone blank. With the hotel, the Bell.
Epic. The Bell
Epping.
Hotel in Epping.
Yeah, not such a great week for the people of Epping again. What do you make of what's going on down there?
Well, it was a process. We knew it was never going to be shut down. So no matter that it ruled in our favour, then it got appealed and then appealed. It was never going to shut because at the end of the day, if they shut the Bell Hotel, then they've got loads of hotels all of a sudden closing down. Then what do they do with the migrants in the hotels? We don't want them dispersed into our communities. We don't want them put into HMOs, Airbnbs, social housing, because then we don't know where they are. And personally, I would rather them be in one location rather than dispersed within our community.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
But
yeah.
You've heard me say before, why is it that it was so easy for the Nightingale clinics to be built during lockdown? Why can't detention centres be built? They'll still be in humane areas to live. You know, it's not against their human rights, and they can be in there. They can't leave. They can be processed, check out where they're from, and deported. It's quite simple. But again, our government doesn't put us first. They don't put the safety of women and children first. We've seen that time and time again. So why are they going to worry about that they're being in these hotels? When they come down from their ivory towers and let their children walk through places like Epping and see how their children get harassed or their wives get harassed or sexually assaulted, then maybe someone in government might actually give a damn.
Tony?
Yeah, I remember Terry won't know this, but I used to live in Loughton, just at the bottom of the Goldings Hill there. So I know the Bell Hotel very, very well. And I remember a time when, I mean, Epping has always been a very, very nice area, And I remember when it started taking a turn for the worse. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. And it started to become more and more prevalent. And you see these people just walking about. And I agree with Sarah, you know, we do have the facility. I mean, I saw an article the other day that Dartmoor is empty. You know, Dartmoor. You know, the old Dartmoor Nick is empty, yeah, completely empty. We have all these establishments that hold several hundred people. We have lots of facilities where we can just move these people to there and wait until they're processed before. See, the thing is, Paul, I have a very specific criteria for what a migrant is, and anybody who breaks into this country illegally is not a migrant; they are criminal. It's as simple as.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to go all soft and these people have rights and all that. That argument is long, long gone when you see the demographic of the people who are actually breaking into this country and how they congregate and how they're, you know, straight into the black economy. And, you know, it's absolute rubbish. You know, when you get these people standing up, oh yeah, these people have human rights. Well, everybody has human rights. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. But these people are not fleeing war-torn areas. They're fleeing France, for God's sake. The last time I looked, France wasn't at war, you know?
Yeah.
And it's gone through several different countries to get there. And they are a problem in the community because there's no integration. There's no willing for it. I mean, that's a broader question. We could talk forever on that. But there's no willingness. And it's almost like the government has literally been complicit and created a problem that they have no idea what to do with. Yeah.
Well, they do. They just won't.
I'm being generous because I'm starting to think, if you'd have said this to me a couple of years ago, I'd have said, no. I'm starting to think it's by design rather than accident. And that terrifies me.
When you think that anyone who breaks into this country illegally, they've usually paid upwards of £5,000. Yep. Why would you not book a flight instead of chucking your documents so that you are undocumented? Because what are you hiding? They could have booked a flight of upwards of £200, come here legally, followed the correct process. We'd know who you are, and then you might stand a chance of staying. But instead, they choose to cross a channel. Like you say, they're coming from France. They're not at war. They're not they're at a point of safety. And then these people don't land on British soil and suddenly gain the morals and good work ethic of people who have been born and bred here, because they come with an ideology that someone like me shouldn't be allowed to be outspoken. I shouldn't be allowed to have my arms uncovered. I'd have to have my face covered. And that's not what we have done as a Christian country. We have evolved over time and we have become the decent, upstanding people of this country. So they won't mix. It will never mix. They believe, people believe you can marry 6-year-olds and have sex with a 9-year-old. I don't think so. That's not our country. That's not our beliefs.
Yeah.
It's like oil and water. It really is like oil and water, and it's never ever going to congregate. Yeah, you can't mix oil with water. It doesn't work.
Out in Poland over the weekend, you know, I was talking to some Polish people, and the number one thing that they said to me, and it was the same expression on their face, the same hand gestures, it was, what are you doing? What are you doing? Wake up. Time and time and time again, the same thing was being said to us, and what are you doing? And God, I haven't got the answer. Chuck, thank you very much. Debbie, thank you. Dream Team, one of many at Advance UK. It's only war paint, says Ben. Myself and another family member joined back in June via one email address. We both ended up with the same membership number. I've emailed Advance but haven't heard back yet. Please advise. Look, I can tell you now, I can answer that for Ben if he doesn't mind. The admin team will be watching this tonight. They will deal with that. And I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Ben, but I know the team will get on that one.
No, but I mean, I wouldn't, money is tight, but the easiest way to resolve that is re-register. That does cost money. Yeah, with another email address.
Yeah. Steve, Steve, thank you. And he says, good evening all. Is the general consensus that Ant Middleton will win back London? Also, what would the ripple effects then be? Thanks. So we'll start off with Ben on that one. Ben, do you think Ant Middleton can win the election?
Ant Middleton mentioned to me, and I'm sure you're all aware of it, what his signature policy would be, which is to bring in veterans to work alongside the Met and actually restore law and order to London. That would be his signature policy. And I reflected on it and I thought, well, what about housing? What about this? What about that? And I thought, no, he's spot on. If he stands on that one singular policy, and we all know what his background is, I think he, is he a para? I think that's right, isn't he? He's a paratrooper. Is that right?
I think he's done a bit of everything, and he ended up in the SAS, didn't he?
Yeah. So if Ant Middleton makes that declaration, and he stands on that ticket, and he gives people in this great city confidence that law and order will be restored, he will win, and that will be seismic. Because people want law and order ahead of everything else. And for him to disrupt the political landscape in that way, on that one issue, would be terrific for this country. It would be phenomenal. I don't think the next mayoral election is until 2028. So there's a bit of a time to wait for him to be able to do that. But it would be awesome.
Absolutely. Spoke to Ant over the week, as did Sarah. I mean, a great guy. Big plans. Very, very, very fond of you, Ben, as well, by the way. I must say, very fond of you. Had good things to say about you.
And vice versa.
He's a class act without a shadow of a doubt. And he has the courage to be able to say what, like Sarah and other people, has the courage to stand up and say what needs to be said. And this is what we have been sorely lacking in this country. And, Sarah made a good point earlier about, integration of people coming to this country. I don't know if you saw this, Paul, but the new Archbishop of Canterbury is in favour of baptising migrants on arrival on British soil. How crazy is that? It's just
like that's going to work, right?
Well, what's that going to just change them from misogynistic overnight? Is that what's going to happen?
No, I think it's more sinister than that, Tony. They can say if we get deported where Christians will be persecuted.
Yeah. Oh, I know why, but I mean, it's completely cynical. Completely
cynical.
And if and when they do commit any crimes, the media can report them as being Christian.
Mm.
True. Yeah, it's like what happened on the train the other day in Huntingdon. The first thing the police want to say is it's a British national. It's as if that somehow sanitizes the crime.
Yeah.
That doesn't sanitize the crime. And by the way, we still don't know what the motivation of that person was on the train in Huntingdon.
No.
The minute they came out with the fact he was a British national and that he had an Anglo-Saxon sounding name, they thought they dealt with the issue. I want to know what his motivation was. We still don't know. They haven't come out with. They'll hide behind sub judice. They'll say we can't undermine the case and so on, but they won't tell us the truth. Can I make a declaration about which I'm really ashamed? My battery's about to end, and so I might just suddenly disappear. Just forewarn you.
Well, if that happens, Ben, I'm sure we can end without you, but we don't want to lose our leader. Ben, if that's the case, if you're in danger of all of a sudden dying on us, I don't mean, but
my battery dying. Yeah,
your battery dying. Can you just give us your opinion on what's going on in Parliament at the moment? I mean, look, Starmer's under pressure. There's talk about a coup. We've got West Streeting in the background. We got, God forbid, Shabana Mahmood. That's the one that
I think they're all bloody awful, Paul.
Yeah, a lot of them. They wouldn't. Yeah. They all need to go and buy a dog to find out what law is all about for their own people, let alone their own party.
I'll tell you what I think's going on, and it's the same thing that's gone on since 2016. We have a parliament and a government in particular that stands in opposition to the people. There hasn't been a single government those things and the opposite. And this is going to happen time and time again. We're going to find that the political class cannot settle the country, cannot settle itself, will be in perpetual turmoil because the policies they're practicing are detrimental to this country, constitutionally, culturally, economically, every single front. They have no mandate for what they do. And so we have ceased to be the bastion of stability in Western civilization, and we've become a basket case because they will not do what the people want. And a pox on all of them, on all the political parties in Parliament at the moment.
Well said, Ben. Well said. I'm going to be polite because we've got a lady and two gentlemen in the room with me here, but what we have here is a house full of bloody scoundrels.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
a house full of bloody scoundrels.
What were they singing? What were they singing in Benidorm about Starmer?
Should we play it again? I mean, that was absolute quality. I mean, you've got to look at the uniforms as well, right, and the banners, because it just tickled me. Benidorm, here we go. No wonder I feel at home here in Benazay. I can't help it. I feel more at home here than I did in Brighton. If you did that in Brighton, you'd get murdered.
But those 5 words, Keir Starmer is a W blank 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 ER. Those words can be equally applied to every single parliamentarian at the moment, in my view, party member parliamentarian, and it's because they don't do what the people bloody want. It's very simple. Just do what we want, and you will not be regarded in those dim terms.
Yeah. It's not difficult to understand. It's not difficult to understand, is it? This is what we want. This is what we gave you the mandate for. Bloody crack on and do it.
Yeah. Yes, but this is also the other problem. Everybody who is in Parliament has been a group of people that has been elected for us to select from. They're not really from ground level. They haven't never run a business. They don't understand the cogs in the community and what each community wants independently. So, and they don't care because all they care about is lying in their pockets with money. And if that means taking a backhander or whatever they do, they're not going to put us forward because they're not real patriots. They don't care. And we see it time and time and time again. So this is why Advance is so good, because they are taking in people who are grassroots, who are passionate, who are patriots, who are willing to put their neck on the line, who are willing to...
We are the People's Party. That's what I say. We are the People's Party. I'd actually change the word WANKER to traitor personally, but there you go. Yeah. Tony Wolf says, thank you, Wolf. Alicante office was my idea on your phone in Paul. Thank you. Ask Tony about our Wednesday supporters, X-Base. You and Ben, welcome on. Do you know about that, Tony?
I do. Wolf and Pete and Zoe, Ben will know Zoe, they run an independent Advance supporters. They're all Advance members, but it's like more of an informal thing where we can chat and get to know each other. And it's a great space. It's full of talent and it's full of great people. And, and it's managed very well as well, Paul. Some of these spaces, you know, they have to be managed by the moderators, because otherwise people go off in tangents and they're effing and blinding, and it soon deteriorates. I don't know about anybody else, but as soon as I hear that sort, I'm like, and I can't listen to it. And that's the thing that these people who have formulated this Wednesday space, it's really, really good, and it's very informative for people just coming into advance, don't know much about advance. So people like myself drop in there, and sometimes members of the college drop in there, just to remind people that we're all on the same page. We're all the same. You know, it don't matter if you've just got into politics or if you've been in politics a little while. We are all the same. We're all on the same page, and everybody's message and everybody's thoughts and everybody's commitment is valid.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Brilliant. I've got a couple for Ben before. I don't want to lose Ben, because we've got a couple of great question here. Jackie says, evening, Ben, with all the problems behind number 10's door, if there was a general election called next year, how ready would Advance be? And if not, which party would you suggest to navigate us? Well, good question.
If an election is so next year, look, we've got enough members now to fight a general election. Reform fought the 2024 general election with 30,000 members, thereabouts. We've got much more than that. So we're ready to fight an election. The key is to get the candidates. And we will have to invoke a Dunkirk spirit if they call in an election next year. And we will just have to get people to come. We'll have to accelerate everything. We'll have to throw money at the problem. And I will make sure we get the money somehow, entirely legally. I'll make sure we get the money, and we'll do our best. But an election is not coming next year. Turkeys do not vote for Christmas, so people don't need to worry about that. We are going to be ready. The election is very unlikely to come before 2029, even if they bankrupt the country. I used to think maybe if they apply to the IMF, then the IMF could force them into an early election. But I think if we go bust, the problem is too big for the IMF. Even the IMF can't bail us out. So the IMF is not going to be able to dictate terms to the British government, which means that I can't see anything before 2029. By then, this country will be in such a pickle that we will be the party. I have absolutely every confidence. The Conservatives are struggling to even recognize that they screwed up. Reform is fast becoming Tories Mark II. And I mean, I saw today that they're recruiting hand over fist Scottish nationalists in Scotland. The Reform Party, what I mean is, people who want Scotland to be independent, they don't even understand what the United Kingdom is. So we've got very little hope, I think, of carrying the nation in 2029.
Sorry, Ben, go on, carry on.
Well, we just need to build, and we are building, and I think it's going to come to us. The people of this country are going to come to Advance.
Talking to the United Kingdom, Jamie says, hi, Paul, question for Ben, if he can answer, please. What will he be doing with the border poll in Northern Ireland when he gets into number 10?
There won't be a border poll unless there's a popular demand for it. And if there is a border poll, by the time we're in government, there'll be so many great policies for Northern Ireland that, frankly, the Republic of Ireland will never be able to match. And one policy which will assure that Northern Ireland will never secede from the United Kingdom is when we get rid of EU human rights law and the ECHR from Northern Ireland, and the Republic is still stuck with it. All illegal migrants in Northern Ireland and the United Kingdom will flock out of the United Kingdom into the Republic, because they will be still stuck in the ECHR and we will not. We will be out, and they will look at us and they'll go, oh my God, the United Kingdom has, it restored its borders.
Yeah.
You might even find the Republic of Ireland saying we want out of the EU and we want to be part of the United Kingdom's customs union because they've got a grip of the problem. That's the benefit of constitutional and cultural settlement to which I was referring before. Instead of us worrying about Northern Ireland going to the Republic, actually, we'll be pulling the Republic closer to us because we will be doing the right things. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it does make perfect sense. Ben, look, I'm afraid of losing you via your battery. So we've been on for an hour. So what I'll do is I'll give you final say, as it were, and then we'll let you go. I'll finish up with Sarah and Tony, but I want you to leave the right way. Is there anything you wanted to add before you go off tonight?
No, I just want to thank all of you for, thank you, Paul, for having me on. Thank you,
Always
Sarah and Tony, for joining me. And thank you all for giving up, where are we? So your Thursday evening at, sort of gin and tonic time. I had my gin and tonic while we were talking. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And, let's win the fight. If you're a member, please go out, get your family to join, get your colleagues to join, get your work associates to join, get everyone to join Advance UK. We can only do it if the people do it.
Absolutely. Well said, Ben. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'll let you go before your battery does die. All the best, Ben, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Take care, everyone. Yeah, take care.
Mate.
Thank you.
All the best, Ben. Thank you. Bye-bye. 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 The one and only Ben Habib. He's a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
He really is. He really, really is.
He
So
is,
kind and genuine and patriotic, and he just wants what's best for this country and the people that deserve to be here. I
worry simply because he's got so much on his plate, and he needs that help, doesn't he, Tony? Yeah. He needs people backing him, getting behind him, sharing the workload.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone mentioned on a space a couple of weeks ago that you remember when he put out that walking video when he was commenting on the Wayne Broadhurst event.
Yeah,
that Wayne Broadhurst murder, and he looked at. So I messaged him, and someone in the space wanted to know if Ben was okay. So I literally messaged him and I said, Ben, someone in this space wants to know if you're okay, and he come back with the affirmative that he's fine. He's absolutely fine. It was just the lighting, but the man is an absolute dynamo. And Paul, I mean, I've met many politicians over the years, and there is only, as far as I'm concerned, there was only one person that I would ever consider even stepping back into the political fray for or with, and that is Ben, because I trust the man implicitly, absolutely implicitly. I trust him. I will follow him wherever he goes, because the man is integrity personified.
Yep.
He's got this country's best interests at heart, and he has to fight. He has to fight, and he's not afraid. He doesn't do it for fear or favour. He does it for the right reasons. And you cannot fail to get behind a person like that. That is a unifying figure, Paul, and that's what Britain is missing.
100%. 100%.
Notice with Dominic over and Poland and things like that. That is a unifying figure, and hopefully, with Ben's guidance and backing and all of us together, we will be able to bring around a scenario where we can emulate and be like Poland is now.
And I will say, Sarah, as well, that I think, a lot of the other YouTubers out there, influencers, etc., I mean, look, they're entitled to support whoever they want to support. But, come on, guys, Ben's our man. Get behind Ben, please. Especially some of the bigger channels as well. Come on, we need your support as well. If we don't unify, this is our last chance.
Yeah.
So I'll just cover these. No more supers tonight, guys, because we'll be wrapping up soon. Thank you so much for them tonight. Hi, Paul. Question. I've done that one. Ish 1989. Agree. People that can work should. I work only part-time now and struggling to do this due to disability and health issues. Will the disabled be protected? They will certainly be protected with Advance. But again, I know the team are busy writing up policies right now. Let's have a look. Some guy at Advance. Thank you, Ben. We're behind you, backing you all the way. Really appreciate that. Paula, Scots veterans been kicked from barracks to make way. Yeah, I saw that. Absolutely disgusting. Please tell me why I can't send a super chat. You kind of don't know why, but never mind, you're on anyway. Thank you so much for that. Sarah, before we go, anything to add to this evening's proceedings?
No, you know what? Again, everyone needs to get behind Advance, because this is our last shot at the end of the day. And no political party that's out there at the moment is going to put the people's interests as a priority. That's it. They're not really. Some of them claim to be patriotic. They're not. They're bringing in conservatives. It's just conservative 2.0 again. And at the end of the day, that's why we need every single person to come together and support Advance. I do believe that we'll win the election, but it's not going to be easy.
So do I.
Oh, it's not going to be easy. I believe it too, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. And what I would say, anyone out there tonight watching this that wants to join Advance, the link there is running across the screen at the bottom of the screen there. And I would encourage anyone and everyone to become a foot soldier. Get out there, leaflet, campaign, speak to your family, your friends, your neighbours. Listen, without you guys, Ben can't do it on his own. He needs your support.
Yeah.
Tony, before we go, anything to add?
Not really, Paul. Just thank you for having me on again. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's my great pleasure to meet you finally, Sarah.
Yeah.
So much about
I
you. I've been watching
know, because I'm going to come and support you down in Clacton.
I know. I look forward to it. And Paul, keep doing what you're doing, because as you know, and everybody else knows, mainstream media are not friends of Advance, which should tell you all you need to know. If you still trust mainstream media at this point, then there is something wrong with you. As Sarah says, they're off their nets, you know. So, and I shouldn't really use that phrase considering my background, but I understand exactly how it's used. Yeah. So if anyone's still trusting mainstream media, you know, it tells you all you need to know. And people like yourself are providing the platform that we need. And that's why we've got to 38,000 people, Paul. Yeah, because people like yourself and other people are giving us the airtime that we need. And they're trying to shut us down, and it's not going to happen.
It's not going to work. But I would appeal, as I said a minute ago, Tony, I'm appealing to all the other YouTubers out there. Come on, get on board with us, guys. We need your help. We need you. Yeah.
I think things will move on rapidly once the electoral ratification is granted.
Is granted. I agree.
Things will move on rapidly, and we're not, as Ben said, we're not going anywhere. We're only going one way.
And the only way's up, as they say. Right, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Tony, now Sarah, before we go, I believe you want me on your. Is it tomorrow morning?
5 in the morning.
Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, was it?
10 a.m. my time.
Okay, so you'll have to send me the link.
I will do.
Otherwise, I won't be there. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Really appreciate it. Had a great evening. And get yourself over to the Advance UK website now. Sign up. And we will see you soon. God bless everyone. Take care and have a great weekend that is rapidly approaching. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Good night.